Being overwhelmed as a mom is pretty common, but what is not common and what is not okay is when you're so overwhelmed by the hundreds of little and big things you have to get done as a mom that you feel paralyzed. And no matter how hard you try, not a single thing gets done. Most people don't understand that your overwhelm is at the point where it is actually a disability. And I'm saying the word disability here very intentionally because no matter how much you try, no matter how strong your intention is to get that thing done or those things done, you are unable to. This scenario is painfully familiar to you if you are also ADHD. Many ADHD moms suffer in silence, facing a very unique set of challenges without the support they really desperately need. They may feel like their only option to fix themselves or to feel less broken is medication. But that shouldn't be the only option. We need more support than that. That's how I felt. I had ADHD, but unfortunately, I only found out when I was already 2.5 years into being a mom. My son was almost 3, and only then I realized I'm ADHD. And the only thing that I thought that would help me, that would fix me, is going on ADHD medication. My name is Ritu, by the way, and on this channel, we talk about being a great mom, a great parent, despite having ADHD and or autism. If that's important to you, please subscribe. Understanding an ADHD mom's experience is crucial for everybody, not just in order to help and support her, but also for the mental health safety and for the future of her kids. In this video, I'm going to talk about why it is that ADHD moms lack support and what you can do about it. And at the end, I'll also share a true story, a really sad story actually, of what happens when people don't realize that a mother is ADHD and the consequences that it has on the kids, like really severe consequences that it can have on the kids and also on her life. The number one reason is misunderstanding ADHD. A lot of people still think that ADHD is a childhood problem and it's a boy problem, like little boys have it and then they grow out of it. But they don't realize that an adult woman, an adult mother might also have it. And they think that, oh, this woman is just making excuses for her poor parenting habits. The reality is that ADHD is just as common in women and girls as men and boys. And just because you become a mother doesn't mean that your ADHD just disappears. In fact, it actually gets stronger because you have so much more stimulus. You have so much more sensory input. You have so many more things to take care of, to keep track of, and to do that your ADHD actually, even before, if it didn't really present it, after motherhood, suddenly it presents itself and you become paralyzed with the overwhelm. The second reason is stereotypes of parenting. There is a societal expectations that all mothers need to be organized, calm, and in control at all times. ADHD moms obviously struggle with this, and that leads to stigma and judgment from others instead of understanding and compassion and support. First of all, who do you know that is always composed? Who do you know that is always calm and always in control? Nobody. So expecting that of mothers is a really tall order. It's an absolutely unjust, unfair expectation. And when that is placed on a woman who's already ADHD and is struggling with executive functioning problems or emotional dysregulation and so much more, then that's just a lot of expectation for that person to bear. By the way, if you find this video is helpful and informative, please give it a like so somebody else just like you who would be benefited from this content gets to see it. The fourth reason is mental health stigma. The fear of being labeled as crazy or lazy or bipolar or aggressive or whatever prevents mothers from asking for help. So for example, a mother will rarely go and tell somebody, I've been having rage problems against my kids. I've been shouting at them to the point of borderline abuse because I'm having a hard time controlling myself when the kids trigger me. Nobody is going to say that because they know that they're going to get labeled something bad, like a bad mom. And worse, if they do get a label of crazy or schizophrenic or even ADHD, this has consequences in a legal situation. So if by any chance she was in a custody battle with the father of her children, the father may use her ADHD or neurodivergence as a case for her not to have custody of the kids. So this is a real concern. Number 5, cultural norms. In many cultures, it's common for people to lean on the family or social network to help with their parenting. A lot of ADHD moms feel like they don't fit into those cultural norms, making it much harder for them to even get those support. Why is that in the first place? So oftentimes ADHD goes hand in hand with pathological demand avoidance and rejection sensitivity. So the pathological demand avoidance causes a mom, maybe even before she became a mom, before she got pregnant or married or had kids with the father of her kids, maybe she was rebelling. So PDA is often connected to high rebelliousness. Maybe she rebelled against her family system and separated herself from them. So she's already not connected and she already feels she can't lean on the support of her family to raise her kids. Rejection sensitivity is another thing that plays a role here. That woman earlier on in her life, or even as a new mother, may have felt rejected or criticized by family members. And often we are so sensitive. ADHD people, ADHD girls and women are so sensitive. So we take a simple rejection or rejection of something we've offered as really personal. We feel like we as a self, like as a person, are being rejected. And we take it so personally and we shut down our heart. We distance ourselves from our own family or friend or community network. And that makes it even harder for us to get the support we need when it comes time for raising our kids. Number 6, lack of awareness. Many people are simply completely unaware of how ADHD presents in women. This does lead to misunderstandings of their behaviors, what's driving those behaviors, and their needs, what they really truly need in order to manage those behaviors. I made a whole other video talking about recognizing undiagnosed ADHD in moms, which you can watch right here. The cost of not understanding a mother's real struggles of going through motherhood with ADHD, raising children, loud, smelly, fighting kids, overstimulating kids, the cost can be so high. And I'm going to share a true story right now to illustrate this. Now, this is a true story, 100% true. Some of the details I have changed to protect the privacy of the people involved. I have a friend who I met when he was already in his mid-20s. And this is a sad story because when he was 6 years old, he was taken away from his mom. He and his little brother were taken away from his mom by child services because the neighbor witnessed his mom slapping him aggressively. Now, don't get me wrong, this is abuse. This is abuse from the mom, and there has to be consequences for that. But what I want to explore here is what drove her to that point, what was behind that situation. They didn't know at the time, like nobody knew at the time, but this mom had a debilitatingly high level of ADHD. She was struggling with overwhelm, lack of executive functioning, high impulsivity, and an absolute lack of emotional regulation. So when her son, my friend, triggered her, he tipped her over the edge and she couldn't, number one, control her emotions, regulate her emotions, and secondly, had a strong impulse to slap him. And that's exactly what she did. But I asked myself, like, what is really the cost of separating two small children from their mother? It's not like foster care is abuse-free. And unfortunately, my friend's life experiences are a proof that they're not completely free of other misfortunate events. What if the neighbor knew that she has a really high level of debilitating ADHD that make it really difficult for her to control her emotions? And instead of calling child services, they would just come over and help with that. They would say, oh, let me take the kids. Let me just help you separate the kids from you for just half an hour so you can calm back down. And allowed her a little bit of time and space away from the source of the stimulus and the trigger to help her nervous system to come back down to equilibrium. What if child services, instead of taking the kids away, sent a babysitter 3 times a week or even 5 times a week for an hour so that the mom just got a break from this overstimulation that two small children naturally bring. These are all speculations, of course, but I can't help but wonder, what if her partner knew she's ADHD? What if she herself knew that she's ADHD? What if the neighbor knew? What if her parents knew? What if her in-laws knew? And they were there to support her rather than judge her for being less than a perfect mom in society's eyes. That's why I'm on a mission to raise awareness about neurodivergence in parents and the impact of it, good and bad, on themselves and on their children, short-term and long-term. And I work to support ADHD and autistic parents to be the best parents they can possibly be, even with their traits. I'd love to work with you too, so if you want to learn more about that, go visit my website, neurodivergentmom.net. It's time to stop the intense judgment that we place on mothers for being ADHD and for being less than ideal, perfect sitcom moms. And if you see a mother struggling with common ADHD difficulties, offer her help. After watching this, if you're wondering if your own mother might have been ADHD, check out this video right here where I talk about how to recognize undiagnosed ADHD in moms.